When I was struggling with abortion, I think one of the common misconceptions that people have about OBGYNs in training or OBGYNs even in practice is that we spend lots of time or money and resources around abortion, when in fact we really don't. It seems to be just as common as the conversations would be outside of medicine. Abortions are something that occur not in typical hospitals, not in offices. You have to go to specific places to train in them. And almost invariably for community residency programs, you have to go to an abortion clinic. And when it came time to determine whether or not I would set that rotation up and would pursue it, I struggled very much with having to go tell my program director that I didn't want to do that. And praise God, he was very understanding and reassured me and was gentle and patient and didn't give me any pushback at all. So I felt actually that it was way easier than I thought it would be. And once I decided that I wasn't going to do it, it was done. I didn't have to worry about it anymore. There were certain cases that I was presented with in residency that created ethical concerns, but they weren't necessarily direct abortion the way that people would describe direct abortion. And so I did encounter cases in residency that convicted me further into my decision-making processes about how I would practice as a physician and how I would protect and uphold the dignity of human life. And that became more clear over time. But apart from the original decision to say, no, I'm not going to do that, it was a closed case and never troubled me again, honestly. The landscape of pro-life and pro-choice in obstetrics and gynecology is a lot murkier than I think people realize. The vast majority of OBGYNs would say that they are pro-choice, meaning that they support a woman's right to choose abortion if she were to feel that that were the correct choice for her. And they would also go so far as to say, certainly, that it should be an uncoerced decision and she should have support in both directions in whichever way she chooses. But when it comes to the actual performance of abortions, the vast, vast majority of OBGYNs do not participate in them. One study came out and said it was 85% of OBGYNs do not perform abortions. And then one came out even later, more recently, it was by Desai, and said in, I think, 2017, that of private practice OBGYNs, meaning OBGYNs that are just opening up their shop and run their business the way they want, 93% of us do not offer abortions in our private practices. And of those 93%, a majority of them don't even refer. So I think that when people are considering what the experience is like of OBGYNs when you decide that you don't want to participate in an abortion, you're actually much more well received than you would expect. Because while the common stereotype is that all OBGYNs are vehemently pro-choice, that doesn't translate into what we're actually doing in our lives. So when you say, I don't want to, you're actually met with a large group of companions and peers who agree with you. So I found that to be very reassuring when I was in residency. Sadly, when I made that decision and I had so much anxiety about it, it was misplaced. I probably didn't need to be as worried as I was. I just thought, I think it was more oriented in my changing my own mind. And that was really hard for me. And I thought, wow, if I was so on board with this topic before and now I've switched, how will this be received? And it honestly was received way better than I thought it was. And I think it was a lot of spinning my wheels for not much of anything. If I could have made that transition smoother, I would have had a mentor who could have helped me to navigate that. I would have had a person who I knew shared my worldview, or at least had done what I had done and changed my mind, or changed their mind, and then guided me through the process and would have said, you can go on and have a full job and career as an OBGYN and be satisfied without doing this. And many of us do. That would have been a lot more nurturing for me in the process and made it far less scary than it was. I think that anytime a person who, for some unknown reason or a ill-defined reason, chooses as an obstetrician and gynecologist to not participate in abortion, but not necessarily for a religious worldview, that is an inroad to understanding the inherent dignity of human life. And you could use that as an avenue to hopefully preach the gospel and to help that doctor identify that it is precisely, the dignity of the human person that you are trying to uphold consistently in every circumstance that is resonating, and that dignity is not placed on that human being by the circumstance of conception or the circumstance of their emotional impact on others, but that just by being a human being, a living human being, you have dignity. That hopefully can help bring people to understand the greater meaning of life beyond just performing or not performing an abortion.